Joining us now on the line is Coulter, the best-selling author of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. Ann, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Great to be here, and I love that. I had a contest on Twitter to see who could come up with a more accurate name for the Dreamers, and I think we have our winner, Howie.
The Nightmares?
Yes. Thank you. I was going with Ingrates, but the Nightmares is way better.
Yeah, I think so. I've been saying, for years I've been saying their dream, our nightmare. Then I just decided to shorten it to Nightmares.
Yes. Very good, very good.
Well, listen, this weekend, Ann, was the first time I've ever, in my memory, been able to think that, listen to a CNN story and say, I hope this is true. When they reported that Trump had said Tom Cotton has veto power on any deal with on immigration, and I thought, oh man, I hope for once this isn't fake news.
Yes, I know. Finally, yes. And I hope Trump notices that whenever he goes back to his campaign promises on immigration, he can't lose, no matter what they do, even up against Chuck Schumer, the brains of the whole operation. Even with the entire media on their side, he can't lose as long as he pushes for deportation, the wall, and so on and so forth, and no amnesty.
81-18, Ann. 81-18.
Yes,
I'd say that's a rout.
Yeah, and again, let's consider what it is over. Republicans always lose shutdown fights. It doesn't matter if Republicans control Congress, control the presidency, control one half of one branch of Congress or one part of Congress. The media is very powerful. It still is, despite talk radio and the internet. They will win. They always have won every shutdown fight. This is the first one they've ever lost. And why? Because it was a shutdown over immigration. I mean, how did we get this issue with the Nightmares? Neither a Republican nor a Democratic Congress would pass an amnesty for the so-called Dreamers. They didn't have the votes. They didn't hold the votes. That's why after President Obama's re-election in 2012. He couldn't do it before the election. That was actually a big issue, with Republicans saying, danger, danger, he's going to do an executive amnesty, which he himself has said is unconstitutional, and was unconstitutional. Democrats who were up for election that year were all saying, oh, well, of course I would oppose that. He can't do that. That would be unconstitutional. I would be against that. He won't do that. And as soon as the election was over, that's exactly what Obama did. Court struck it down. It was unconstitutional, and now suddenly it's an emergency when Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. No, if this were popular, they would have pushed it.
Right. Now, I'm looking at a text from 240. I mean, this is the Democrat talking point. Why do our elected officials deny us a DACA fix when over 80% of us support it? Talk about a fake news poll, Ann.
Yes.
They're running with 83% of Americans want a DACA fix. No,
yes.
No, they don't. No,
they absolutely do not. And you could tell. I write about this in Adios America. Basically all polls on immigration are lies, but definitely on the Dreamers, and we keep hearing that's their only answer when you ask liberals or Democrats on TV. I've watched them. Many of them respond to this. Why are you putting the needs of foreigners who have broken our laws above the needs of Americans? What's their answer? According to a Fox News poll, 83% of Americans support Dreamers. And, this has the effect of making people think, wow, maybe I'm crazy. I must be some total outlier because I care more about my fellow Americans than foreigners who broke out. Well, that's because they're all phony polls. And the proof of that is when they were talking about the shutdown this weekend, oh, there was no mention of the Dreamers in the shutdown. No. It was just, well, Trump controls the presidency. He said he was a good negotiator. I guess we have to blame him. Wait, can we talk about what the shutdown is over? No, they would not talk about it. They know how vastly unpopular it is.
I got my biggest laugh of the day when somebody said, well, if Chuck Schumer said this was to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Chuck Schumer said that he's a terrible negotiator. And she looks at this pajama boy and says, the vote was 81-18. Who won? Okay? I mean, this is just ridiculous.
No, and even before that, this silliness over the weekend, Yeah, you can have the greatest negotiator in the world. If the other side is taking a ridiculously unreasonable position, they teach this at Harvard Business School. What do you do with an irrational negotiating partner? There is no strategy. There is nothing you can do. I'm glad it came out this way, but they were being utterly irrational. They know they can't win in a vote. They cannot get people who have to stand for election to vote for amnesty. They can't do it, and so they have to do it through these other sneaky ways. And incidentally, what was this fantastic deal that Trump's principal negotiator in the Senate came back with, Lindsey Graham?
Don't forget Jeff Snowflake.
No, all the ones who aren't running for re-election. I noticed that in the New York Times article. They were talking about, who was coming together to try to bang out a deal and end the shutdown and didn't want to fight over the Dreamers. On the Democrat side, it's all Democrats up for election this year. On the Republican side, it's all Republicans not up for election this year.
Right. And also everyone should remember
or retiring.
The illegal alien criminals on welfare, the Democrats call them dreamers. If you're a U.S. citizen or legal alien who works for a living and plays by the rules, you are a deplorable. So that's their terminology. The dreamers versus deplorables. Yeah, and nativists,
for good measure,
xenophobes, and any other kind of phobes. Hey, listen, Ann, I want to ask you about this FBI situation here, where they have now the FBI claims that they don't have any of the text messages between the lovebirds, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. It would due to a misconfiguration.
No, I think a lot of people should be going to jail over this. I mean, it's certainly, talk about obstruction of justice. They think the President of the United States taking actions that are within his job description, i.e. firing people who work for him, or, lying to the press. They think that's obstruction of justice. No, actually, we kind of like it when the President lies to the press. But this is now we're getting pretty close to obstruction of justice. I mean, ask your lawyer listeners to call in on this. That's what was so serious during the Clinton administration, was when he was obstructing, and a completely legitimate and, it turns out, meritorious civil rights lawsuit against him
by Paula Jones.
Brought by Paula Jones.
Right.
If you can just lie and suborn perjury, lie under oath, hide evidence, well, there's no point to having a court system. There's no point to writing these laws to begin with. And if these people, I mean, you can't just say that dog ate the evidence that you've just requested.
Yeah. How about if you could just make up evidence to get a warrant? I mean,
I'm telling you, anyone who has ever worked in a law firm knows that this is very, very serious. And the fact that the political class is pretending because, they like the people, they're on the side of the people who destroyed the emails, that this is not a massive, major, serious crime. And no, you cannot destroy. Now, there's no proof yet, but gosh, it certainly looks suspicious that these texts were intentionally destroyed.
Isn't it odd too, Ann, that they didn't discover the texts were missing until late Friday afternoon? Isn't it weird how that always seems to? You always get the bad news on a late Friday afternoon. And 5 months.
It really does look very bad, and Congress really has got to exercise some authority here, and Jeff Sessions. There should be prosecutions, and by the way, they should move for a change of venue, because the seat of government is Washington, D.C., where 90% of the population voted against the president. Their entire political opinion is, I hate Trump. So they ought to move for a change of venue. Do it out in rural Virginia.
Yeah, it's just, and the fact is too that this dossier becomes more and more ridiculous as time goes on too. I mean, there's no evidence here. It was a totally concocted document. It's like a Mike Barnacle column in the Boston Globe.
Yeah. Yes. Other than I saw people on MSNBC. Every once in a while, I'm forced to look into this whole Russia thing, and I just get angry at the media for making me do it because it's boring, and B, it's nonsense. But I kept seeing them on MSNBC saying, well, most of the claims from the dossier have been confirmed. It's been proved true. It's been confirmed. And, you look into it, the things that have been confirmed are things like Putin is the leader of Russia.
Right.
Moscow is a city in Russia. That's right. The stuff that's been confirmed.
Right. Yeah. Carter Page, who Trump couldn't pick out of a lineup, went to Moscow. I mean,
right.
who hasn't gone to Moscow? If they have business in Russia, right? That's what you do.
No, and also very well established on the public record. I mean, you could read the newspaper and know that. So the stuff that was either new or essential, important, something other than Vladimir Putin is the leader of Russia, all of that is the nonsense part that has been the opposite of confirmed.
Yep. Hey, Ann, I got to let you go, but I got to tell you, I got a new book coming out, What Really Happened, How Donald J. Trump Saved America from Hillary Clinton. You're going to like the book. You're in it because I talk about the day we were at the Kowloon, the day they announced they were reopening the FBI investigation right before the election, and about how glum
That was fun. I hope you have a future chapter for things to come where he builds the wall.
That'll be in the next edition. You can order my book today. You'll be getting your copy, but if anybody else wants to order it, go to HowieCarrShow.com and you can click on the store and you can pre-order it. It'll be out in early March, and if you an autographed copy, What Really Happened, How Donald J. Trump Saved on the camera. Ann, thanks a lot for being with us. Talk to you next week.
Good to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We will make America great again.